2 years ago, me and my wife Bella set out on an adventure to explore Canada while living in a Ford Econoline. Yes, it has officially been 2 whole years since day one of starting our van life adventure. So in today's video, I wanted to go through what van life has been like for us in that time period. Our travels, things we got to see, and lessons we learned. So if that sounds interesting to you, grab your beverage of choice, buckle up, and join us in today's video. I consider our first day of van life to have been the first one where we were completely on our own. We did spend one experimental night in the van so we can figure out what works and what doesn't. It's better to find out sooner rather than later, right? For example, we originally planned on bringing our PlayStation 4, our DVD Blu-ray connection, and a 32-inch TV. And none of that ended up coming with us. And even when we officially started our trip from Ontario to British Columbia, we spent a day at a campground, and I also don't count that as the first day. The next day, however, yes, we were completely on our own, and I think we were officially van lifers. The first town we stayed at was Sudbury. We walked at a park, we enjoyed some of the unique geographical features of the town. It was a good first day. We were looking forward to exploring the town some more, but the first night didn't go nearly as well as the first day. The first night went poorly, but I'm glad what happened because we were able to learn some lessons early on. What happened, you may ask, Cosmo? That's a fair question, he wasn't there at the time. Bella didn't have a hard time falling asleep. That's good, I'm happy for her. Me, however, I was having a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. Not only that, but I kept having these paranoid dreams that I was hearing someone walking around our van. And to make things worse, someone was walking around our van. At first we weren't sure. The parking lot that we were at was gravel, so if someone's walking around, you'd hear it. But every time I stepped to the front of the van and looked around and in the rearview mirrors, I couldn't see anyone. So it was like, is this all in our heads? Eventually, we actually felt the van move. Someone might have stepped on the bumper or something, I don't know, but we for sure felt it move. So I went to the back, and we used to have these reflective things covering the windows for privacy. And when I peeled it back, yeah, there was someone trying to peek through the windows. One knock on the window, and they were flying the hell out of there. I moved this to a different spot on the parking lot, directly under light. But of course, for me, sleep was going to be out of the question for that night. You see, we built this van with stealth in mind. So in the spirit of stealth, we parked in a dark, far-off corner in this parking lot, right up against some bushes. Big mistake. From that day forward, we no longer slept in far-off corners in the dark. No. We found a streetlight of some sort, and we sleep under that. There was another instance as well since then where some guys parked directly next to the van already at 11 o'clock, and the rest of the parking lot was empty. So I kind of think they wanted to try to siphon gas or something. I'll never know, but I just went to the front, I asked them if they had a problem, and they said no, and they just drove off. But anyways, Sudbury, we didn't stay past that first night, and we moved forward to see lakes, rivers, waterfalls, cascades, a boat graveyard. Ooh, spooky. It was spooky. We wanted to stay the night, but we didn't. We got to see a cool windmill. There was a lot of forest fire smoke as well. Yeah, there's a lot of forest fires in 2023. And I'm not trying to say, oh, it ruined my vacation. I don't want it to sound like that at all. It happened. It was a thing that happened. I'm just saying that there was a lot of forest fire smoke during our travels in 2023, okay? I liked noticing the change in wildlife. You know what I mean? After a certain point, there was just so many prairie dogs. Have you ever seen prairie dogs? Oh man, these things are so adorable. I think I was playing hide and seek with one of them in a town called Drumheller. Yeah, cute little town, nice canyons, a dinosaur museum. That was cool. I'd love to go again one day and take little Cosmo with us. Huh? What do you think about that, Cosmo? See some dinosaur fossils? Oh yeah. We then went to Edmonton, and I enjoyed the West Edmonton Mall. I'm not a huge fan of malls, but I kind of feel like if I was a teenager in Edmonton, I'd like to spend the weekends there. You know what I mean? We got to see a sea lion show. I got some pictures with some princesses. There was an indoor skate rink, an indoor beach thing. It was pretty cool. And the sort of funny thing is we only really went to Edmonton because Calgary kicked us out. I mean, they didn't kick us out actually, but what happened in Calgary was we arrived in Calgary, we spent the night. No problems. Then we went to Drumheller for that one day to see the fossils and the canyons. Okay, so far so good. But then we spent the second night in Calgary, and we woke up to a note on our windshield saying, hey, you're not allowed to stay here. You can stay on the road over there, but you're not allowed to stay here. We have your license plate. Didn't make us feel very comfortable. We very likely could have found another place without any issues where we could stay the night. However, because of the sort of like PTSD of Sudbury, we thought it would be easier for us to just go to Edmonton. Yeah, maybe one day we'll go back to Calgary, but it is what it is. After checking our travel records, I realized that we left Edmonton on our 1-month anniversary of van life. And I gotta say, that first month was full of moments where I'd just be like playing on my Nintendo Switch or something, and then I'd look up and be like, oh wow, I'm in a van, okay. All right, that's pretty cool, Like a lot of these like weird moments of like, wow, we're living in this, we did this. Nice. I assume most van lifers go through a phase like that, especially if they built the inside themselves. After Edmonton, we drove to what is probably the highlight of the trip, the Canadian Rockies. And we loved it. Some of these places you'll be standing there in the middle of these mountains and you can kind of tell that this is just like an old place. Oh, with all these glaciers and all this rock. It's just old. It just leaves you all like, wow, this planet is old, man. This planet is old. Within the Canadian Rockies, we stayed at Jasper and Banff for a couple of nights each. Very touristy. I'll let you decide how you feel about that. But with Jasper in particular, I like the campsites that we got to stay at because you're just surrounded by mountains. That was pretty cool. But like I said, very touristy. After Jasper and Banff, we stayed at a place called Wait a Bit. It's a free campground that anyone could stay at. Oh, Cosmo's leaving us. This place was fabulous, especially since we got there and there was no one else there, so we could pick any of the sites that we wanted. And we picked a spot right by the river, and this was like glacial water river. So it was very, very cold water, so I wasn't going to swim in it. But the good thing about it is that the 2 days that we spent in Wait a Bit were really hot. So all I had to do was step into the river and the water goes up to like your knees. Step into the river and just stand there for a few minutes. And the cold water just cools your body down. It was very nice. Unfortunately, we had to leave after the second night. This place had a very visible rodent problem. We noticed it the second we got there, but we were just hoping that the mice would leave us alone. On the second night, Bella woke up in the middle of the night feeling a cold field mouse walking on her face. We were mostly sure that the mouse managed to leave the van somehow when we were banging against the walls and the ceiling to try to scare it away. But just to be safe, the second that there was some light in the horizon, some sort of sunlight, we went outside, we took every single thing out of the van, made sure there was no mouse in here, and then we put everything back in. And unfortunately, that is the end of the story about Wait a Bit, because then we left. But it was a good place. But it is because of that place that now we bring mice traps with us. I know, it sucks, it's horrible, but I don't want mice in here. I mean, maybe Cosmo is enough to prevent mice these days, but it is what it is. Although it isn't considered a desert, it's just a sort of arid geographical location inside of BC. I did find the climate of Kamloops, Kelowna, and Merritt to be a desert by my standards. I mean, come on, I stepped on a cactus by mistake, and it punctured me through my Crocs. That's a desert. We loved Merritt because it was at a decent distance from a lot of forestry campsites, which are these places that you can camp at for free, generally. Some of them you pay for, but it's usually not a lot. So we would visit a campground, chill for maybe 4 or 5 days, go back to Merritt, get some more food, fill up our water bottles, and then we do it all over again. We did that a few times. It was pretty cool. And it was very convenient because just like in Wait a Bit, it was really hot in Merritt as well. So a lot of these campsites around Merritt were up in the mountains where the air is fresher. But gosh dang those mosquitoes. They make it so hard to enjoy nature. Those dang mozzies. Sorry, I have to try to appeal to my Australian fan base. Once we were done with the desert area, we spent a couple of more nights in Jasper before making our way back to Ontario. Kinda weird that we went all the way to BC and never saw a single bear. Until the very last morning, as we were leaving Jasper, we see a bear crossing the street. Bella was all like, bear, bear. And I was like, I'm driving. I'm like, where? And she's like pointing, bear. And then I saw it. It was a small little bear. I mean, we had seen a bear maybe 1 or 2 weeks before, but we only saw its lower half while it was running into the bushes. And I don't count half bears. No. It has to be a whole bear or it doesn't count. And with that beautiful sighting, we made our way back to Ontario. My parents were going to be on vacation for a couple of weeks, and they asked us if we were going to be back in time to take care of their house. And we were. So we took care of their house, their dog, and their chickens. People often ask if we enjoy having time off from the van. And the answer to that is not really. No. We put a lot of time into planning van life. From the day that we decided that, yes, we're going to work towards doing van life for 1 to 2 years, until the day that we officially started van life, I'm pretty sure it was like a whole year. You guys have to understand something. I didn't have a driver's license at 32. No, I didn't have a driver's license. I had a learner's permit, but that doesn't help you when you want to live and travel in a van. Luckily, I passed my road test on my first try, but after that, we had to find out what kind of van we wanted, which is hard in its own because she has her own needs and wants, I have my own needs and wants, and it's not easy to, make a compromise. Then we had to deal with the stress of finding a van, buying my first vehicle ever. Guys, driving from the dealership to the apartment that we had was sweaty. It was sweaty. And then we had to start building out the thing, which that on its own is very scary. So why would we want a vacation from this? We planned this. We built this. Life was getting too stressful and expensive if we're trying to do life the way that the system expected us to. So we did our research and we found the best way to sort of break free from all that stress and expenses. That was and continues to be van life. Van life was also supposed to be the honeymoon to a wedding that we planned to happen right after us celebrating 14 years of being together. The wedding didn't end up happening, but we'll probably talk about that in another video. Once my parents were back from vacation, we were back on the road for only 10 days. It was October, and this October was very cloudy and pretty cold. We probably could have pulled through for an extra week, maybe 2, but we figured it would be best to just kind of admit defeat and spend the winter at my parents' house. And that's pretty much what concluded 2023. We got back in the van a few weeks before the total eclipse of 2024, and we got to see it in all its glory in Leamington, Ontario. If you've never been able to watch a total eclipse, it's not like a partial eclipse. No, it's super duper mega awesome. If you ever get a chance to see one, I highly recommend it. That one we had planned out, but then completely out of nowhere, we were also blessed with the Northern Lights within a 30-day time span. That was pretty awesome. But unfortunately, this is when we had to put van life on pause. Bella had a concerning growth on her head that we had to get looked at, removed, and tested. Luckily, it was just a cyst, but I kind of think that ended up setting the tone for the rest of the year. So we just kind of hung around in Southern Ontario, and we didn't really travel much in 2024. We coulda, we shoulda, but we didn't. And because I wasn't spending so much time traveling anymore and we were just hanging out, one day I was bored and I decided to make YouTube videos. Nothing too serious that would require too much editing like this one is going to. But I started making van life videos about how we cook, what the power setup is in here. I made a little van tour. I am going to update that one day because some things have changed and I'd like to talk about things in a little bit more detail. But yeah, I started doing things like that to pass the time last year. In November of 2024, after months of Bella trying to convince me that she found the perfect puppy for us, eventually, she did. This guy right here. I'm not going to wake him up because he's kind of sleeping right now. His name is Cosmo. I've probably already mentioned that. If I didn't, here he is. He's Cosmo. And he is a Jackapoo, part Jack Russell and part toy poodle. Adorable little thing. And he's been something. Cute and cuddly at night, yeah, but he can be a demon dog during the day. We have fun. We have fun. Please send help. Shortly after we got Cosmo, we decided to install a diesel heater in the van. It's right here. I have a video about it if you want to check it out on my channel. We installed a diesel heater because Cosmo was tired of waking up in the morning and his water bowl being frozen. That'll do it, right? But at the same time, guys, if you're a van lifer and you think, I can deal with freezing temperatures, Yeah, that's true. But your equipment, like if you have a computer or a phone or whatever, anything with a battery or a screen in it, it's probably best to keep it above the freezing point. That's just my opinion. That's just my advice. You do you. So far, the diesel heater does work, but I need to figure out a long-term plan to be able to make the winters last. Because as you've been hearing, yes, the last 2 winters we pretty much have survived because we spend it at my parents' house. But now with the diesel heater, the only thing we need to figure out is how to power it, and our battery isn't big enough, and there isn't enough solar during the winter to power it all. So I might have to buy like this small, it's called an inverter, a gas powered inverter. It's like a small generator is what it is. So I'm gonna look into that, and then if we get that, we should be good for the winter. Should be. Stay focused. Where are we? Oh, that brings us to 2025. Even though we had already installed the diesel heater, we had to wait until February to be able to head out again because my parents were on vacation and we were taking care of their house again. March and April saw us just like hanging around in southern Ontario, where I finally completed 100% of my driver's license. So now I'm good. I don't have to do any more tests. I'm done. Bella also did hers, but she only did the road test here in, well, not here. In Ontario, it's the G2, so she can drive anywhere on the highway and everything. But next year, she still needs to do her highway test. And once she completes that, then we will both have completed our license. Cool. I can't clap. So I was trying to clap. Then we were at my parents' house again. Gosh dang it. You guys are going to be like, bro, you're not even a van lifer. You're always at your parents' house. Type it in the comments. But yeah, we did spend about 3 weeks in May at my parents' house while Cosmo was recovering from getting fixed. We could have stayed in the van while he recovered, but his vet was so close to my parents' house. And if we have the ability to stay at my parents' house, hey, why not take advantage of that? You know what I mean? Now that Cosmo's all healed, we're back on the road again. And this time, we're exploring the east coast of Canada. I might make a video about that, but we're still in the very early stages of it, but it's going well. Oh, the forest fire started up again? Okay. Cool. The main thing that we're trying to do differently this time than what we've done in the last 2 years is that we're trying to spend nights in other places that aren't just like Walmart, Home Depot, and Best Buy parking lots. So we're trying to spend it in more of like places like this, that it's not just like a parking lot. I mean, this is a parking lot. I'm not really making a good case for myself. But hey, we already spent the night at a cemetery. Ooh, spooky. Yeah. Have you ever done that? I'll try to post video updates, and generally I do plan on posting more videos. But they won't always be about van life. No. I don't want this channel to be just about van life. I've seen other van life channels, and it's always about van life or very like van life adjacent things, and I don't want to be just another crab in the bucket. You feel me? I do go live. I'm still trying to figure out what my schedule is going to be. I'm trying to think of a long-term schedule that is predictable for people to know when I'm going to go live. But I have been going live quite often lately. So if you want to talk, it doesn't have to be about van life. We can talk about aliens, Bigfoot, relationships. Those are very different topics, but still, me and Bella have been together for over 16 years at this point. So I feel like it kind of gives us some knowledge in the area, you know what I mean, to talk about this. If you ever have a problem you need someone to listen to, you know what I mean? I'm realizing now I didn't really write a proper outro to this video, so I'm just going to do what I always do. Cosmo, do you have anything to say to the people at home? Thanks for watching, guys. I don't know how long this is going to end up being, but thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like the video. Peace.